InnerQuest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to InnerQuest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is Amy Andrews. Welcome, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
I'm looking forward to hearing your talk about your topic. I mean, you do so many things. Amy is a health detective, hormone whisperer, corrective exercise specialist, coach, educator, speaker, and author. Amy uncovers hidden stress and empowers people to feel healthy and thrive. Amy has more than 21 years of helping people transform their health and fitness. First question I have to ask you is, what is a health detective and why do you call yourself one?
Well, I help people figure out what's underneath their symptoms. So people who complain of being overweight, fatigued, and depressed, and diets don't work, and their meds don't work, and they can't figure out why. It's often a cascade of problems that began with a hormonal imbalance and then goes downstream and turns into other symptoms. And so what we do is we investigate. We talk to each other, we take some information, and then we're able to find evidence using functional medicine lab work.
Okay. And you also help people discover their hidden stress. How do you define hidden stress?
So HIDDEN is a handy acronym for the extended body systems that can go out of whack. Hormonal, immune, digestive, detoxification, environmental, and neurotransmitter, which is brain happiness. Those are the hidden stressors that are usually underneath a set of symptoms. And so each person is different, and each person got there differently, and each person's concerned with, their bloating, diarrhea, and constipation, and migraines. But I'm concerned with which is the system that's out of balance and how can we bring them back to balance so that they can be independently healthy.
Now, did you coin the acronym for hidden stress, or was that one of your teachers?
Yeah, that's one of my teachers. I'm trained in several types of functional medicine, and that comes from Reed Davis, who is the mentor for functional diagnostic nutrition. Mm-hmm. And I'm also trained in the Kalish method, which is, now I'm mentored by Dan Kalish, who I think of as the senior doctor of functional medicine. He's done tens and tens of thousands of programs to help people, and he really has proven protocols that have been used for decades to help people return to health.
Now, is he a medical doctor or some other type of?
He's a chiropractor, and
Okay.
he studied personally under the grandfathers of functional medicine for years and years, spending every Thursday going over case studies and getting the protocols right, and then devoted himself to bringing it out into the world because he saw so many people are suffering from, all the complaints we have, pain and, constipation and depression and headaches and you name it.
Well, you call your business?
Feel Good Again Health.
And why do you call your business that?
Well, the ultimate outcome people can get when they learn the things they can change in their life, and then they learn the exact way to restore their health, they can have their life back and feel good again.
Do you think our natural condition is health?
I do, and I think that when you're functioning great and you feel good, you can do anything, and what you want to do is live your purpose. Mm-hmm. I believe that many of us are walking around with a lot of conditions piled up on our health. And so often when I'm with a client, I'm silently asking, if you could show me your health, what would that look like today? So that then they're the one doing it. They actually get to return themselves to health without turning over their power to someone else like me or a doctor.
And what I hear from people is I don't have enough time, to take care of myself. I've got work, I have children to take care of, I have the house to take care of. People can't keep up with all the responsibilities.
Yes.
So what do you say to clients? How do you motivate and inspire?
Well, sometimes the lab does that work for me because they need to see it in black and white. We got a problem. There's something going on with your gut, or your adrenals are really tired and you're just not able to keep up any longer. But this brings me to the same complaints that a client of mine had. She couldn't handle making food. She was so exhausted. She had changed careers. She couldn't feed her kids and her family. She couldn't do the marketing for her business. She was overweight, had GI dysfunction so bad that she just was at the end of her rope on antidepressants and also on birth control just to help her with her hormone symptoms. So she just said, I've had it, I'll do it, what do I need to do? And I said, well, spit into these little vials 4 times in one day, and then we'll see what we get, and then we're going to do a little GI test, and we'll see if there's an infection or something. And sure enough, like on the 3rd day of her new healing diet and her adrenal protocol, because she was in a very deep stage of fatigue, she started to feel better on the 3rd day. And then by the 60-day mark, when she went to work on her infections, she turned another corner and felt amazingly better, was really starting to exercise and feel good about that. Her size went down, and her ultimate goal, and this sounds crazy, but everybody's here, she wanted to fit in her bikini. Mm-hmm. And she had done this, reduced calorie diet a couple years ago and lost 50 pounds and then gained it back, and she just really wanted that. Well, I think that most of us have a form of a broken metabolism. Mm-hmm. So anyway, what we got is Friday I got a text from her. She was in her bikini. Mm-hmm. So she's clear of her infection. She was able to reduce her symptoms in giant increments over those months. So it took her about 6 months to get to her bikini.
And do you run lab tests just to confirm the results?
Yeah, we do. So we will run follow-ups at specific times just to make sure we're not, doing unneeded labs. But we want to make sure that we're on the right track and moving in the right direction. And if there's an infection, that she's cleared it, et cetera.
When you say we, are you talking about you and the client, or is there some other person involved?
Me and the client. So we work together, and I lay out the information. And, a lot of times it's that, and this was probably true for her, although we don't have confirmation, like she was working 60 hours a week and doing fertility treatment, and then was completely overwhelmed. So they went on vacation and came back from Mexico with an infection, and it hasn't been the same since. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people have a story like that. They go, 20 years ago, I had this thing and it only stayed for about a month, but maybe this is it, and then we get confirmation with the labs.
Now, you mentioned the digestive system, problems with the digestive system. Is there a marker for that?
Yeah, there are. So when the adrenal glands start to tire out, it's that we're so focused on keeping this organism alive that we're running out of resources. As soon as cortisol is up for a period of time in a fight or flight mode, and then can't crank out that cortisol any longer as it's getting fatigued, what happens is the immune system turns down. It suppresses the immune system, and then we're open for either a bug going through, like a healthy person isn't bothered by bugs so much, and then also we can turn a pretty healthy GI system into one that has a lot of food sensitivities.
Well, also when the fight or flight system is activated, blood moves away from the stomach because it's going to the hands and arms and legs and feet to fight or flight.
Exactly, and that fight or flight can go on for years and even decades. Yeah, I got 2 jobs. Yeah, I raced my mountain bike. That was me. And and then you feel good, but then as soon as the levels are dropping, you don't feel so good anymore.
Yeah, well, and I also think of the fight or flight and the immune system as the fight or flights for immediate life or death situation.
Exactly.
and the immune system is for long term. So the body shifts priority
Right.
when the mind perceives a life or death emergency, even though it's not a life or death, the body doesn't know it.
That's so true. And what we've seen is that female hormone imbalances are significantly assisted by adrenal programs, because fight or flight cares about keeping the organism alive and not about procreation. So, and we're actually stealing hormones, and we start this little habituated pathway where we're stealing from the regenerative side, and because we don't need that right now while we're under threat. And so often, female symptoms like night sweats and PMS and other grouchy, gonna hurt my husband kind of symptoms can be really helped
Well,
by
I
getting
know
the
stress
adrenal
can stop, if a woman's under too much stress, it can stop menstruation.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
And that's all part of that chemical and biochemical cocktail that we are, that is actually an energy signature in the body. So cortisol is an energy signature, just like qi. And the body knows how to orchestrate everything, but when it starts to move out of balance, it's pretty predictable, and so this we can find. And then we have methods to return it, so you can have your bikini again.
Now, I've been following natural foods for well over 30 years, and this is the first I'm hearing of this, and I'm liking what I'm hearing. Has this been studied by any researchers, any third-party documentation?
Functional medicine?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's tremendous volumes in the medical literature about it. And in fact, the integrative group at Mayo is trained by Dr. Kalish, and that people who are practitioners who get a decent protocol and know how to manage cases and know how to get people from point A to point B have tremendous results. I do see people who may not have that kind of mentorship, or they don't have the track record of the decades of returning people to health. But let's just say studies are often funded by companies with financial interests.
Right.
So there is a study beginning soon on the Kalish method at Mayo, exactly the protocols that I use. They want to quantify exactly how they do it and what it does for people no matter what their complaints. So that'll be coming in this fall.
That's great.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So how do you clients benefit from your health detective services and the uncovering of hidden stress? I know we've touched on this, but any more case studies you want to talk about, or maybe even talk about your own life and how you use it, or with a family member, etc.?
Yeah. I started this work because of my own health, because as a kid I was sick all the time and on antibiotics multiple times a year, and up until my 20s I was still just chronically ill. My mom never really had great health. She suffered from overweight and depression and fatigue, and ultimately type 2 diabetes. When I was in my 30s I started reclaiming myself, and I began a healing process. I became a massage therapist, and then I was like, well, I could help people more if I could teach them how to move. So I went to the finest. I was trained by the Czech Institute, Paul Czech, on how to help people move, and I became a holistic health coach there. And I was like horrified at what we do, because it's on TV and because that's just what our habit is. In the year 2000, I had my first adrenal lab, and I was really in fatigue. And my protocol worked. The third day, I just felt awesome, and I was able to turn things around.
When you say the protocol, is it the treatment plan? And
The treatment plan is
you're
a
giving
lifestyle.
like supplements, dietary, lifestyle changes?
Yeah, lifestyle changes, and then a suggestion to the hormone system that it remembers what health is. So that's what the whisperer part is. So I was able to turn myself around, but shortly after that we had tremendous stress in the family, and my mom actually died of a GI infection, which is probably why I do this work, because it was totally unnecessary. And then subsequent to that, now looking back, I realize the first thing I had to do on my healing diet was get rid of gluten. And I did for a while, and then I went back, and I was on and off and in denial, and my health would get better and get worse, but I didn't make the connection. And then all of a sudden, I was an autoimmune type 1 diabetic.
Type 1?
All of a sudden. Like, no, it was probably all my life I was gluten sensitive, but I never knew it. I never had a GI symptom. I never had a suggestion of it. And so I think this is why I'm doing this work, because people don't need to go there. And it's just not that fun. And now we know that things like gluten, which are pro-inflammatory foods, there isn't a human on the planet who can digest it, and that it causes such inflammation in the gut that turns on what's called leaky gut, which is the cause of autoimmune diseases.
Yeah, our audience may not know what an autoimmune disease is. Can you explain?
Sure. So let's look at me. I would eat gluten or wheat or whatever had wheat in it, and then my gut would get inflamed, and then out of my gut would spill little proteins. They'd leak out through little holes in my gut wall, and then my poor immune soldiers, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, would all go attack those, and those proteins would look also like, say, my pancreas or my knee or my thyroid. That's what autoimmune is. It's that tissue gets attacked, but it's not meant to. It's sort of a mistaken identity issue.
I've heard autoimmune disease described this way, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's like friendly fire. It's like American soldiers mistakenly firing or attacking other American soldiers.
That's true. And so if I had known, or if I had paid attention, or if I had understood the weight of my choice, I would have probably chosen differently. And so that's how this work helps people. So when you asked what are the lifestyle changes, we ask people to do an anti-inflammatory diet for 60 days. That's a short-term thing, and it's always a negotiation, but it really helps people. That gives them a chance to rest.
How does it help people when the anti-inflammatory diet?
Well, every forkful is either pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. So every single choice we make is either stressing us out or easing up on us. So we like to lift off as many stressors as possible. For example, if people aren't sleeping, we want them to get 8 hours if they can. If they're not exercising, we want them to do the right kind. This is true for food. We want them to remove anything that could be causing them, say, blood sugar swings, and we know that wheat is directly connected to brain stuff. It's connected to diabetes, and it's causing leaky gut in everyone. It's just that it may not add up in most people till they have a big crisis like I did.
Now, mention some foods that have wheat and you would recommend avoiding or reducing greatly.
Well, so wheat, barley, and rye.
The whole wheat, the whole grain.
Yeah, and it's pretty important. What I like to
I was
ask
thinking
people
more of like breads and pastas.
Right, so bread and pasta, and
Pizza.
It's in almost every dressing. It's so it can look like a daunting job, but so this is why I wrote the book Gluten-Free Happiness, and which is coming out this year. It's because I think that if people had the information, and it's a bit of an ugly story, the story of gluten and what it does to us, I think that they would choose differently. I don't think anybody really wants an autoimmune condition, and that given the choice, they'd pick differently, and there's so many gluten-free choices. So it's an ugly story with a happy ending, which is this is what's so awful, and here's what you can do about it.
What about alcohol? Does that contain gluten?
It can, yeah, a lot of it does, and there are a few select things that don't have gluten, but also alcohol is really hard on a gut that's trying to heal or on an adrenal system that's trying to heal. So we ask people to, it's sort of like you're 5 again, and you're learning how to eat your vegetables and get to bed on time and go outside and play, and you're learning ultra self-care. And this is the thing that I think has spun out of control is our schedules, our traffic, the amount of toxins we have, and like people are too busy to find their way to a healthy meal. But so my client, who I spoke of earlier, she has discovered that she actually can prepare her food, and she's much happier when she's got her clean food, because then she doesn't feel icky later.
I find just the process of cooking is meditative or therapeutic in and of itself.
Right. So it's about changing our minds and putting our resources and our choices in health instead of in, turning it over to chance or turning it over to our doctor.
I'm looking forward to the answer of this question. Do you work with children at all?
I can, and I currently am working with kids, and they're the kids of a doctor, a colleague of mine, and the whole family's not feeling very well. So together they're doing this makeover of their
like
lifestyle.
detox. Reason why I asked, like ADD, some behavioral problems,
Yeah.
emotional problems. Children could be just acting out because of their poor
hormones
diets.
are out of balance. So
Yeah.
this would always show up in an adrenal lab and also in a GI lab, and so we can test that immune response. And I just heard Dr. Tom O'Brien, who put together the Gluten Summit. If anyone needed information on gluten, you should go get that online. He was saying every child, the literature says, every child with ADD should be checked for gluten. So he asks the doctors that he teaches, which child with ADD aren't you going to check? Because every child needs to be checked. So that's putting a lot of responsibility on us to take the message forward. And that's good.
And check by meaning doing functional lab work?
Or what about just completely removing it 100% for a period of time? So there are different deals you can make with people. 14 days, 100% perfect. 60 days, 6 months. For people for whom it's a problem, I really think I don't need it in my life, ever.
Well, their own body would say, I'm so much better off without this.
So that's the feel good again part. And sometimes people just won't be motivated to make the change unless they see it in black and white on a lab result. And they want to take the power back in their life.
All right. What are some of the symptoms and cures for adrenal exhaustion?
So the symptoms are fat, fatigue, depression, hormone issues like PMS and hot flashes, digestive issues, and immune stuff like allergies. And then the transformation is to be able to lose weight again. So anyone who is having trouble losing weight and is dieting and exercising and it's not working probably would want to look at that. And then anyone with GI issues could look at diet and remove a couple things and try it and see how it works. And then if that doesn't work, get a test and see what's going on.
Now, how many days, once someone saw you, how many days would they start to see improvement? I think you said maybe 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I got a call from someone who started her protocol Saturday, and today she said, I feel so much better, just like you said. And I'm like, well, that's just what Dr. Kalish told me when I started 14 years ago. It's true. You just feel better when you have what you've been missing. And, then you do a couple lifestyle things to help lift those stressors off, and the body starts to hum again. It's like your orchestra is now in tune, and it's easier to get it done, and it just feels, the day feels like whoosh, instead of like, oh God, I can't get up, and
It certainly sounds to me like you've found your purpose, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question. Does your mother ever come to you or still inspire you?
Well, she inspired me when she died of a GI infection. And I was fighting with her doctors. This was only 12 years ago, and they were like, no, probiotics aren't good, and it was completely unnecessary. And I think it was, I think she died before her time. She was a super creative, powerful, world-changing woman. Mm-hmm. So I thought I came into this work to save her, but she didn't really have any interest in me saving her.
Yeah.
I think it was to save me, and then to save, whoever wants to make a change, to save us, to share this information, because I can't keep it inside.
Are you going to be teaching classes at Infinity?
I certainly hope so. I would love to. I love Infinity Foundation.
And is what you do, is that something you can teach in a classroom setting?
It is, and there are parts of the coaching that I do that are really easy to do on your own if you're a self-starter. And then if you have the right pieces of information, you can take it forward on your own. So yeah, I love to teach. Yeah, it will be a joy to share it.
Okay, there's plenty of questions left. How do you get how do you get lab results needed to rebalance the body?
So I'll give someone a kit and they do some spit vials, or there's saliva, urine, and poop tests, and they send them in to the lab company, and the results come to me, and then we sit down with the results and we say, here's what is, here's what the plan is, now let's go forward. And we always start by strengthening the adrenals so that people can then return their body to a level of health.
What do you get from the saliva?
You get the cortisol levels 4 times in a day, and also estrogens, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, melatonin, and so then we know exactly how to support
Very
them.
key markers.
Exactly, and it's real precise. It's a very reliable lab.
And from the urine, what do you get from the urine?
So we can look at detoxification pathways and nutrition that's being received and nutrition that's being missed. And we can see if someone has a lot of oxidative stress, if their liver is stressed out, and if they have heavy metal issues. We can see a lot of different markers that show us where to point our attention.
And from the poop, what do you get?
Bugs.
Bugs?
Sorry, yeah. So a lot of people have infections. Yeah, so bacterial infections like H. pylori, which is the one that we used to think it was an ulcer, but a lot of times it's H. pylori.
How often, like what percentage of your clients end up with a bug?
All of them so far.
All of them? 100%?
Yeah. Now,
Wow.
the first time they do a test, it may not show up, but as the mucous membranes heal and as the body goes,
Detoxing.
then the body starts ejecting stuff that doesn't belong. And so sometimes it's the second and third test. It's shocking how often that's the reason why they don't feel well.
And I got to ask you, are you no longer symptoms of diabetes?
No, I still have an endocrinologist, and I still need insulin to keep myself alive.
But you seem so vibrant and healthy.
Well, I am, and I take active steps every day to improve my health, and that's, I think.
Well,
I don't know if I need a transplant, but I see that someday I believe I'll make it go away.
I gotta finish up, but for more information about Amy Infinity Foundation and her Quest show, stay tuned to the credits at the end. Until next time, wish you good health, good spirits, and good fortune. Amy, it's really been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
You know, I think the high.
For more information about this show, our guests, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.